Frequency, wavelength, and speed of light practice. In this worksheet, most of these problems you're going to be doing some math in order to figure out either the wavelength or the frequency of a particular wave. These first two questions just ask about colors of light. So it's going to give you two different colors and you talk about the different frequencies or wavelengths. The rest of these problems, it's going to ask you to calculate either wavelength or frequency. Now in your reading materials, the back page of your reading is a worksheet called How to Calculate Frequency and Wavelength, and it goes through how to do it. Here's the formula: velocity of a wave equals frequency times wavelength, which can be shorthand written as V equals F times, and this is the Greek letter L for length, and it's lambda. So it's kind of a weird looking letter, but that is L in Greek. So because we are working with the speed of light, the velocity of the wave will be the same as the speed of light. Speed of light is a constant, c, which is 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. So what we're going to do for each of these is figure out what the frequency of the wavelength is, and let me go ahead and move this up. If you fill in your magic triangle with the formula that the speed of the wave, which in this case is the speed of light, equals frequency times wavelength, because frequency and wavelength are multiplied by each other, we put them next to each other in our magic triangle, which leaves c, the speed of light, to go here. So what we're going to do, since we're solving for frequency and wavelength, if I cover up frequency, that means I need to do the speed of light divided by the wavelength. So to solve for frequency, speed of light divided by wavelength. If I'm solving for wavelength, I cover up wavelength, and again I'm going to divide speed of light divided by frequency. So all I have to do to figure out frequency or wavelength is divide the speed of light by the other one that I already know. So let's do a problem together so that you see how this is going to work. I'm going to cover up my paper so I don't actually write on it, because I want to be able to reuse this. And it asks me to calculate the wavelength of violet light with a frequency of 7.50 times 10 to the 14th hertz. So frequency is measured in hertz. I know that the formula I'm going to use is speed of light equals frequency times wavelength. And I'm going to be solving for wavelength, which means I need to divide by frequency. So my wavelength equals speed of light divided by frequency. The speed of light, remember, is a constant from our reading material, 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. So I'll put 3 times 10 to the 8th as my speed of light, which is the speed of the wave, divided by the frequency, which it gives me here as 7.50 times 10 to the 14th. 7.50 times 10 to the 14th. Now when you plug this into your calculator, you have to be very careful. When you plug it in, you have to be sure that you put the bottom of your fraction when you're dividing in parentheses, or else the calculator will calculate it in the wrong order. So I'm going to put in, move this up here so you can see what I'm actually typing, 3 times 10 to the power of 8 divided by, open parentheses, 7.5, the 0 you don't have to put in, times 10 to the power of 14, close parentheses, and equals. Now it seems that my calculator got stuck on fix. If you see fix right there, press second and the decimal where it says fix, and put it back on F, which is floating decimal. And you can see I've got this answer, which is 0.000004. Now, I don't want it written this way. It actually says in my instructions over here that I need to put my answer in scientific notation. Now, if you remember how to do it, you can actually just move your decimal over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places, and so it would be 4 times 10 to the negative 7th. Or if you're not really sure about how to do scientific notation, the calculator will do it for you. you're going to press second, and this DRG here, see how it says SCI right above it, second, and that button, and move your arrow until SCI is underlined. When SCI is underlined, that means it'll be in scientific notation mode. Hit enter, and your answer will come out in scientific notation. And it's exactly what I just told you. It would be 4 times 10, it's very little, but it says times 10 there, to the -7th. You can ignore the 0. So our answer for wavelength is 4 times 10 to the -7th. You'll do the same thing when you calculate for frequency. All right, you'll take your frequency, to calculate for frequency, you'll take your speed of light and divide it by wavelength. Because wavelength, move this out of the way. All right, frequency will be the speed of light divided by wavelength. So you'll plug in your 3 times 10 to the 8th and divide by the wavelength that they give you. So again, this is just using the calculator. Make sure that you put your answers in scientific notation, and if you still have questions, make sure you ask them.